Hello everyone. We have with us Dipanjan Roy Chaudhury, Foreign Affairs expert at the Economic Times. Today we're going to discuss Shinzo Abe's visit to Ahmedabad and India and the investment that Japan is putting into bullet train. Dipanjan, to begin with, if one were to look at the optics beyond the bullet train investment, why is Japan becoming such a great friend for India? What is the ulterior motive here?
Overall, the geopolitics, the way geopolitics is changing in Asia and globally, it is very natural that the two democracies, Asian democracies, have thought to come closer than before. It has been a gradual process over the last 11 summits, and it is now probably getting into a level of maturity or entering a phase of maturity and confidence. For a country which has been nuked, to enter into a nuclear deal with India, a non-NPT signatory itself is a big thing, and Shinzo Abe took that risk and got it approved in Japanese Diet or the Parliament. And therefore, the amount of risk that he is also putting in this relationship, and the amount of faith that India has in Japan in terms of the quality of Japanese investment, the quality of Japanese engineering, which is many of which are not reverse technology, if I may say, is also helping India to find the right partner for its Make in India program, getting the state-of-the-art technology across sectors, from nuclear to defense to bullet to various other investments. I think that Japan would be with an Asian country of the first world, and can really lift India's economy.
Many of our readers might not know, but Japan is the single country which is the largest investor in India, in terms of the country number. Why is that, and how did that happen?
The Japanese companies have been expanding their footprints and exposure in India. So, Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, DMIC, has been a flagship project of that. They also want to do, they want to go big on infra in India in terms of not just DMIC but connecting that to Bangalore, Chennai, and Delhi, Calcutta, back to Delhi. So they are looking at a diamond corridor in India to lift India's overall, infrastructure, which also goes in line with this current government, that they want to improve the Indian infrastructure, which will, in a way, boost the Indian economy, create jobs. It also would help Japan to diversify its own economic footprints from other countries, and particularly from China, right?
Right. And so that's exactly what I want to understand. They have invested quite a lot in China. And now they want to invest in India, and more so in the infrastructure sector. Is this a Japanese method of de-risking their investments in China? Because the political equation that right now exists between Japan and China is or can be a risk level in future.
Yes, because Japan has found a similar cause with India, particularly with regard to territorial disputes. Besides the Chinese belligerents, and particularly, Japan has been threatened by China over the Senkaku Islands. In the similar way, recently we saw the Doklam episode, and we also have an disputed boundary of over 4,000 kilometers with China. So there is a common cause, and it's but natural that the two countries will join hands to emphasize on stability and in Asia, the rule of law, the rule of governance, on which democracies are based actually. And this overall political atmosphere and overall political thinking of Japan to look beyond China is also bringing them closer to India. It also helps both India and China to send a message, or that Asia is not unipolar. Asia is multipolar, and China talks about multipolarity, and how can we achieve multipolarity when one country is unilaterally, in a non-transparent way, are initiating certain projects. One Belt One Road project is an example in that. So in the long run, India and Japan, and as we probably will see in today's summit, are also looking at third country projects. Africa, there are plans to get into Iran for the Chabahar port, and also India and Japan has some plans for ASEAN countries to improve the infrastructure there, so that they can have an alternative to China. Northeast, which needs mega infrastructure boost, Japan probably could be a player in that.
Right. So infrastructure is a big play now for Japan within India.
Right.
Traditionally we've seen Japanese consumer electronics flood Indian markets. Right. Infrastructure play is the big play now lately, what we see. A lot of Japanese companies are ready to invest and support India in building out the infrastructure that India so badly needs.
Right.
Bullet trains, which Japan has tried to sell to America and many parts of the Europe, are not actually getting sold there, the whole play and the infrastructure. But India is ready to accept that, plus with the Japanese banks giving us a loan of 88,000 crore at a mere 0.1% interest, that is favorable for India. What is the Japanese big infra play and how will it pan out for India?
We are, what India has, has been sort of lacking for many years is world class. We have world class service sector, but we don't have world class. We are not a global manufacturing hub, and India wants to move into a global manufacturing hub, right? So Japan can play an important role there. Japanese also, has offered and have started training Indian skilled workers. They will skill 30,000 Indian workers over a period of over 5 years. And they want to improve the skills of the Indians, and they want to look in the economic corridors which can help to create growth corridors, and growth regions in India, which in the long run, India could actually be a hub for Japanese exports besides infra in the long run, if SEZs are created in certain pockets. And India actually could be India could benefit from Japanese manufacturing shifting here and going to third country, which also creates jobs here, even if they are in technology 4.0, which is they're moving into the robotics, and but they can an investment brings various kind of jobs, both in direct and indirect jobs, right? So Japan is betting big on India, so India would probably be their next biggest sort of focus, and is evident from this Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And I can see only this going forward, Yeah.
So there's a dual objective here. There is a political de-risking objective.
Right.
There is an economical objective
Right.
for Japan to support India
Right.
on many fronts.
Right.
And of course, with the latest development in North Korea,
Right.
where there is a clear and present danger from North Korea, Japan needs a lot of friends across the world.
Right, particularly in Asia.
Particularly in Asia.
Yeah.
And India is definitely extending its
Right.
hand out there,
Yeah.
is ready to accept investments in return, and that's how this friendship grows further.
Right.
Is there, between India and Japan becoming really great thick friends, apart from the threat to China, does it pose any threat to any other country in the world?
No, because Japan's ideology, foreign policy objectives are almost similar to India in a way. They are the largest donors in the world, and they're unlike loans from certain countries, and it's quite evident from Japan comes at a very different, they offer loans at a much lower interest rate.
For example, there is a possibility that you can take high-speed trains from Europe, right?
Right.
There's a TGV
Right.
that is present in Europe. That could have been an option. But why do you think India chose the bullet from Japan
I think
is
Japan,
it just the cost, or there's something else?
there is a cost involved, and there is also this, because Japanese have been one of the oldest in that technology, right? Apart from France.
It's a perfected technology.
It's a perfected technology. It's not that we will not have other technology. The Chinese, for example, have done their bullet trains, and they have, they have been benefited from technology from Europe as well as Japan, right? So they have, people call it it's a reverse technology, but it's not just one technology, right? We can have different technologies running on different sectors, right? I think we can have actually I guess the plan is to have 6 bullet trains in the long run, and this could also come from various, India is not just talking to Japan for the bullet trains. The French have been interested in certain areas. I think in northern India, if I'm not wrong, there's a plan to either Delhi to Chandigarh or Delhi to Amritsar for that. Spanish railway company called Talgo, it is involved in increasing the speed of the existing tracks, right? And there is these two, and even the Chinese had done some survey here for a high-speed railway. But given Japan's almost glitch-free record in Shinkansen technology, which is probably one of the innovative technologies in bullet train high-speed rail in the world, so India chose to begin with Japan and probably expand it to other countries as well in the long run.
Thanks so much, Dipanjan.
Thank you, Deepak.